Hello and welcome to Activity Corner. Today we're going to be making homemade Play-Doh with some things that can be found in your kitchen. Hello and welcome to Activity Corner. Today we're going to be making homemade Play-Doh with some things that can likely be found in your kitchen. I have two mixing bowls that we are going to use. One I started with 1 cup of warm water that I've microwaved, 1 cup of flour, half a cup of salt, 2 teaspoons of cream of tartar. Cream of tartar is used to keep the Play-Doh soft and pliable. If you don't have any, you can still try to make the recipe. It just will dry out faster. And 1 tablespoon of vegetable oil. If your Play-Doh at the end is too dry, try to add some more. So we are going to start by adding the dry ingredients. We're going to add the flour, the salt, and the cream of tartar. Make sure to get all of it. We're going to give this a whisk. To mix the flour, salt, and cream of tartar. So we are going to add the wet ingredients to this large mixing bowl. It's important to have a large mixing bowl because we're going to add the dry ingredients after this. So here's 1 cup of very warm water. You can microwave it for about 30 seconds or a minute prior to using. One tablespoon of vegetable oil. And right here I have some food coloring that is purple that I'm going to use. Feel free to use whatever kind of food coloring you have. And then we're going to give that a whisk. Once we have this mixed up, we're going to add the flour mixture slowly. So add about half and whisk together. We are going to let the mixture cool for about 5 minutes so that we can knead it. Now that we've waited about 5 minutes, we're going to take a look at our Play-Doh. Give it a stir. Mine still looks a little bit gooey, so I'm going to go ahead and add in a little bit of extra flour. I'm going to add in about 2 tablespoons and see what happens. So now that we've waited the 5 minutes, come back and look at your dough. It should be a dough-like consistency and kind of harder to stir. If it's still a bit runny, make sure that you add a little bit more flour. It should be like a dough. to make it easier to knead together. And lay down a piece of parchment paper to knead the dough on. So I'm gonna go ahead and lay down a piece of parchment paper down on my counter, and I'm gonna sprinkle it with flour so that I can knead the Play-Doh better. Make sure that your dough is not gooey. If it's still sticky to the touch, just go ahead and add a little bit more flour. I'm gonna set the bowl to the side. And here I'm just gonna knead it. We're gonna knead it for about 5 minutes. Because we added the food coloring to the water mixture, it shouldn't stain. Because the Play-Doh mixture is still kind of sticking to my hands, I'm gonna go ahead and add another tablespoon of flour. So now that you have kneaded the dough for about 5 minutes, it's come together. It's not sticky, it's pliable, it's movable. And remember that there's a lot of salt in the dough, which will give it a salty taste. You can go ahead and make this in whatever colors you'd like, whatever colors you have on hand. If you don't have any food coloring, it's not required. You can go ahead and make it without it. And then remember to store it in an airtight container, either a Ziploc baggie or some sort of container that you can put a lid on for it to last the longest. Please make sure to check out the craft template with the instructions online. Thank you.